Hello fellow Guardians, and welcome back to the channel. Now, it's not a secret that I'm a hunter main. And in this episode, yes, we are very strong. Prismatic brought a bunch of abilities together that are borderline busted. However, Titans? You guys are a bunch of fucking liars. Liar! Everyone's complaining about how Titans are so bad and Prismatic Titan isn't as good as the other classes, blah blah blah. So, I decided to jump on my Titan and see what all the fuss was about. I wanted to make a PvP build to prove to you guys that Prismatic Titan is just as strong and just as annoying as the Prismatic Hunter. Now let's get into the build. For this build, the super literally does not matter. The fact that Prismatic Titan doesn't have a decent super is honestly a crime, especially when it comes to PvP. Now, I understand Bungie wanted players to get away from using the Bubble Titan, but I'll agree, the supers are subpar compared to the other classes' prismatic options. I was running Behemoth, but if you're looking for more of a shutdown super, Twilight Arsenal or Thunder Crash works just fine. But the rest of the kit is great. I'm so used to dodging on Hunter that I had to go with thrusters, which honestly is like the same thing. I used it to help peek or kind of escape around a corner if I ever got caught off guard. For the melee, Hammer Strike. The classic shoulder charge that packs a punch. The best part about Hammer Strike over the other melee options is that when you defeat a target, they ignite. Throw on Solar Fulmination from the artifact, and you easily are able to secure multiple kills with one ability. I heard a lot of people also really like Shiver Strike, but I find its tracking to be very inconsistent, and it's pretty easily counterable because it's slightly slower than the shoulder charge. Having the Suppression Grenade in your kit is amazing. There is nothing more satisfying than watching a Guardian struggle when they've had their abilities taken from them. Now, before I get into the rest of the kit, quick side note.
Why are you the way that you are?
Guys, less than 2% of you watching are actually subscribed to the channel. That's insane. The channel is less than 100 subscribers away from hitting 5,000. And imagine how many subscribers we'd have if 3%, or maybe even 5% of you guys were subscribed. Help your boy out. And if you've enjoyed this type of content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. Alright, side note over, back to the video. But the biggest things that make this build a PvP monster are the aspects Knockout and Diamond Lance. Knockout is busted. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attacks with arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time. That applies to both powered and unpowered melees. Defeating targets even restores a portion of your health, with powerful combatants increasing the amount of health restored. Now, numbers-wise, for PvP, that's 30% increase to your normal melee damage, 20% increased powered melee damage, and a 5.5 meter increase to your melee lunge distance. Now, I would not be surprised if Bungie already has their eyes on Diamond Lance. The advantages the Lance gives you in 3v3 game modes is a little unfair. But Diamond Lance will give you a stasis spear that spawns after either defeating 3 targets with stasis weapons or by defeating enemies with any ability. It can be any powered ability, meaning that Hammer Strike won't only blow the enemy up, but it's also going to spawn a Diamond Lance for you to then turn and either slam on the ground or throw at another target. Having Knockout procced even makes your regular melee a powered melee that can spawn a lance. Your grenade can spawn one, and your supers can spawn them. Not only does this give you the ability to slow and freeze multiple targets at once, but you can also 3-peek because of the camera angle while holding it. Now, what is 3-peeking, you ask? This is the use of the third-person camera angle to freely look around corners without exposing yourself to danger, gathering, free information and locations on other players. It's usually used to counter like snipers or maybe players using radar manipulation abilities like smoke bombs, decoys, Gemini jesters, etc, etc. Bungie has since removed the camera change while emoting in competitive playlists and removed the third-person view while wielding a sword with no ammo in it in order to prevent this from giving players too much of an advantage, but not while wielding the lance. Being able to see around a corner or over a wall is a huge advantage in competitive game modes. With the amount of traps and other class abilities affecting radar pings, this makes checking around a corner much easier and much safer. Ha! And you guys thought hunters were annoying. This build gives Titans literal throwing spears that freeze you and grenades that remove enemy abilities. Everyone keeps complaining about radar pings when this kind of stuff exists in the game. I mean, come on. Now the Fragments take this and all of the abilities and make them even stronger. Faceted Command. Freezing or suppressing a target reloads your equipped weapon and increases weapon stability, aim assist, and airborne effectiveness. We can get this from either our lance or our grenade. There's nothing worse than getting into a gunfight, switching to your shotgun, and it's not loaded. We don't want to be out here shooting blanks. Faceted Command is also going to drop a stasis shard or a void breach, depending on if the target was frozen or suppressed. Shards grant a small amount of melee energy, and breaches grant class ability energy. Faceted Solitude will sever enemies after rapid precision hits, and that sever is going to cut outgoing damage to those affected by 15% for 5 seconds. Now, that may not seem like a very long time, but think about it. TTKs nowadays are less than 1 second. 5 seconds is going to feel like an eternity inside of PvP. Facet of Ruin is going to increase the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or a frozen target. So, anybody unlucky enough to get hit by that Diamond Lance is instantly dead when you shatter them, plus anybody nearby is also going to take increased damage. Facet of Sacrifice is granting us increased darkness ability energy when we get light ability kills, meaning any arc, solar, or void ability. We're also using this for its plus 10 stat bump to discipline. Lastly is Facet of Dominance, granting our suppression grenade the ability to weaken targets. So not only are you going to take all of their abilities, they're not going to take increased damage. Now, you want to make this build even more annoying? Put on Peregrine Greaves. This exotic is well known by all the Titans out there, but for those of you who don't know, its exotic perk is called Peregrine Strike. All shoulder charge abilities, Seismic Strike, Hammer Strike, and Shield Bash deal bonus damage when activated in the air, meaning not only can this build freeze and suppress, it now can one-shot melee by simply being in the air. Weapons with this build are pretty free game. You can run whatever you're good with or whatever the map calls for. Now, a lot of the gameplay in the background, I was using Hawkmoon, and I don't know why, but Hawkmoon felt amazing on Bannerfall this weekend in Trials. Its ability to deal increased damage on that last shot can make the difference in a 1v1. Now, I already mentioned Solar Fulmination from the Artifact mod, but other mods you'll want to add are things like Void Hegemony, which will give you an overshield for defeating a weakened target, and because of Facet Dominance, every grenade will weaken. Galvanic Armor is going to increase your damage resistance while you're amplified, which procs pretty easily once you get knockout going. Radiant Orbs is increasing your damage by 10% each time you pick up an orb, and Shield Crush to increase your melee and grenade regen while you have an Overshield, Amplified, or Radiant active, respectively. Your stats for PvP should play into your class's abilities. For Titans, it's Resilience, so I was running Tier 10 Resilience and Tier 10 Strength, so that I had my Hammer Strike up as much as possible. Armor mods are as follows. 2 targeting mods on your helmet. Making sure you land your shots is important regardless of what you're playing, but it is crucial in PvP. Double momentum transfer and a heavy-handed on your arms. Causing damage with our grenade will give us melee energy, and every melee kill will drop an orb. Unflinching mods in your chest piece to make you handle flinch better. 1 recuperation mod and 2 invigoration mods on your legs. 1 giving us health back and the other building up that melee each time we pick up an orb. Class item can be any combo of Outreach, Bomber, or Distribution, all of which revolve mainly around your class ability, which isn't as important on Titan, but when you're using thrusters, I found myself using it way more than normal. With all of these put together, you can utilize both aggressive and passive playstyles. You can rush in, get that one-shot kill with the shoulder charge, and then turn on the rest of the team with that Diamond Lance. I tended to use this strategy every other round, starting the round with a pick and making the rest of the fight a 2v3. You can also use this to play a little bit more passively and allow the enemy team to push you, secure some weapon kills, and then quickly shut down any supers or other abilities with the suppression grenade. Tips from a fairly decent PvP player: change your strategy on each round to make sure you keep your enemy guessing. Once you have the enemy team confused, you've already won. There's the build, guys. Prismatic Titan is a solid choice in PvP. That was one of the easiest flawless cards I've ever run. Now Titans, quit being a bunch of babies and get good. Play to your strengths, outsmart your enemy. Maybe stop eating crayons. I don't know. If I missed anything, guys, let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button for me, as well as the bell next to it to stay up to date with all of my latest content. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming and watching, but that's all for me for now. Wolf, out!